me. Okay, I understand. This webinar is a little bit different as we decided it to be more theoretical. Last year, I talked a lot about learning styles, and during the webinar, we decided that maybe it would be good to know something about learning strategies as well. And as Lucyna said, today is just a kind of showing you and telling you about the different learning strategies, and of course, which you can use, which you can teach, which you should use, which you should teach, and which you should make your students use, so as they will become really good language learners. I can see the hand up. Does it mean, Lucyna, that somebody wants to say something? Okay.
So that's the way it should be interpreted.
Okay, maybe... so yeah, if somebody wants to say something.
Any questions, anything you would like to say to Ula?
I can see the rising hand. I don't know if it is. Okay, feel free to ask me a question while the presentation. Feel free to ask me questions in a chat. I will try to look at the chat from time to time, and then I will answer the questions as well. And at the end, there will be time for the discussion, because I really recommend looking at the strategies in details separately. Today, all the strategies, maybe not all, but a lot of the strategies. And if you feel that some of the strategies are worth being made one webinar, feel free. I am really willing and I am ready to do it. Okay, so I will try to share the screen now. Lucyna, I don't have the option to share the screen.
Okay, here we go. You are the co-host right now.
Okay,
I thought Martin did it, but we are controlling the situation.
Yeah, now it's okay. Yes, I can. Now I can. Okay, can you see the screen of mine?
Yes.
Okay, and then the learning strategies are here. And where can I see the chat? I cannot see the chat. I can see.
You have to open it on your at the bottom on the toolbar.
Yeah, I know, but I can only see the people. Moment, I can only see the people. I think I cannot see the chat. But if you see that somebody, so if you see that somebody wants me to ask a question, just let me know. Okay.
Okay, I will try.
So feel free. Can you see the screen F5? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so as Lucyna said, I am really involved in IATEFL Poland activities, and one of them is organizing webinars, and the other one is taking part in conferences really actively. This year, I'm going to have a live lesson with small kids. You are really warmly welcome, and maybe I will have a presentation too. Before we start talking about learning strategies, we should think about few things in the connection with good language learners, because we try to teach the strategies because we want our learners to be successful, and it means that we want them to be really good language learners. And there are a lot of points here about good language learners. If you agree with me, just say that you agree. If you have some other features which you can add to the list, also feel free to say, and then I will put them down. I hope that you will agree with me that good language learners can find their own way to learn, their own way to find out words, their own way to learn words by heart, their own way or ways to solve grammar problems, their own ways to understand grammar, and also their own ways to be responsible for the learning process. They can also find out and then organize information about the language they learn. There can be some information about how to use grammar. There can be some information how to use the vocabulary properly. There can be some information. Okay, the information may come from the internet. Okay, I can see the chat. Moment, yes, yes, I can see the chat. That's good. I will put it somewhere there. So if there is a question, I can see it now. So they can organize on their own. Of course, today we will discuss how to make them organize information on their own. Sometimes they do it intuitively when they are 15, 16 or 20, but they never know that in the past, when they were smaller kids, when they were teenagers, when they started learning a language or whatever the subject, somebody taught them how to organize the things. Okay, good language learners have the intuition. So they are more risky. When we were talking about learning styles, I talked to you about language learners who are risk takers. And the better we know the language, the more intuition we use, and we feel free, or we feel freer to use what is inside our heads without thinking. So good language learners are also creative. Okay, they can find out some chances for practice. They know that class is important. They know that teachers are important, but they also know that they can learn from their peer friends. They also know that they can learn from the video. They also know that they can learn from the songs. Okay, so they know it, and they try to find out as many opportunities to practice the language as possible. Okay, and they can do it inside and outside the classroom. Sounds perfect, but do we only have students who are willing to do all the exercises? Do we only have students who are willing to finish all the exercises? Sometimes they don't like grammar. Sometimes they don't like learning vocabulary. Sometimes then they just don't like learning at all. Moment, I will say, okay. Okay, so somebody's sending. Okay, so then good language learners talk and listen. They talk a lot, they listen a lot, they read a lot, but they know that they don't have to understand every single word. Of course, the more words we know, the better. The more grammar points we know, the better. But good language learners really understand that they can understand the text they read or the text they listen to, not only without understanding all the words. Oh, there are more people coming. Nice to have you all here. Okay, moment. I don't. Okay, oh my God, I have problem. Oh, yes. Then good language learners use memory strategies. Today, I will talk about memory strategies, but they know the memory strategies and they use them to recall the language they have already learned. Okay, so they can recall the vocabulary, they can recall the grammar structures, they can recall also some theory, which is also hidden behind the grammar points, okay? They know that they make errors because everybody, maybe not errors, but mistakes, okay? Because errors are bad because they are somehow incorporated that we cannot root them out, okay? So they make mistakes, but they know that mistakes work for them. So they understand, as teachers understand, that it is good when students make mistakes because then we can correct them, they can correct themselves, and they know then in that way they learn better. They use the linguistic knowledge. So the theory behind the language is also important. The theory behind the grammar is also important. Okay, but they do not only use the what do they know about grammar, what do they know about the language, the English, the foreign language. They also use their background knowledge, and they know that knowing the knowledge may help them, can help them learning a second language. Yeah, and we also know that there is a strategy or the technique, grammar translation method, which we use when we translate words is also good. When we translate text, it's not bad, okay? So it's also, and when we compare languages, it is also worth a lesson or a part of the lesson to be sacrificed to this, okay? But they are really comprehensive because they use the clues, they use the ideas, they use the background knowledge, they use some prompts, they use everything, they use pictures to help them. Okay, so they can make intelligent guesses, yeah, and in that way, they are really good language learners. They know that it is better to learn, it is good to learn vocabulary, separate words, but it is also good to learn chunks, phrases, because in that way we can solve some problems with understanding, for example. Okay, I will talk to you about the chunks which we should learn, and it is also a technique, and it is a strategy which we can teach our students. Okay, they are really intelligent, and sometimes we can say that they are even cunning, because they know how to make the conversation going, or conversations going. They don't need to know everything, they don't need to know all the words, they don't need to know all the topics, but they can make the conversation going on. So they know some tricks which may help them, and of course they know that they lack some competences, they know what strategies, they know what skills they should develop, and they know that still there is something we can learn. So they never stop learning. That's why teachers are always learners, because we never stop learning. There is always a new word which we haven't seen before, or we haven't heard before. Okay, they know that there are different styles of learners, there are different learning styles, they know what style they represent, and I was talking about the learning styles last year, so it is good if you come back to it, then you can make the mixture of learning styles and learning strategies, and then it can help your students to be really good language learners. They use different styles, even if it doesn't represent the style of theirs. They can use it so as they can become really good language learners. Okay, so we want our students to be good language learners, perfect language learners. We want them to learn all the time. We want them to learn permanently, not only temporarily. Okay, we want them to learn all the time. So that's why we should talk about learning strategies and learning strategies. Oxford, in accordance to a dictionary. Yeah. Learning strategies. Oxford, in accordance to a dictionary. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, okay. I have heard something from, okay, YouTube. Okay. So learning strategies are specific actions in accordance to Oxford Dictionary, specific individual actions which are taken by the learner to solve a problem. Okay, to learn faster, to learn in an easy way or easier way, to make the learning process more fun, to be more self-directed process. Yeah, so learning strategies are used by students to help them understand information about the language, because we are talking about the language, solve problems, and of course be successful as language learners. Okay, I have problems with, no, I cannot.
Move forward.
Oh, yes, okay. And the Brown says that everybody uses the strategy. When there is a problem, we need a strategy to solve it. Okay, so these are techniques which we should know, and these are the techniques which which can help us solve grammar problem, different techniques, vocabulary problems, different techniques, okay, pronunciation problems, let's say, different techniques, listening problems, different techniques. Okay, so as the second language will be learned by us, of course, really successfully. Okay, so learning strategies are always connected with the teaching process. That's why teachers should teach learning strategies. Okay, we want our students to be competent language users. We want them to be communicative, and that's the most important thing, but we cannot forget about grammar, vocabulary. So students must be communicative, but we must understand them, or not only we, because we can understand our students. They can speak Polish and English, and we will understand. Okay, but we want them to talk to people whose first language is not Polish, but another one. Okay, learning strategies are really important because they can support the teaching process, but of course, mostly the learning process, directly or indirectly, doesn't matter, but both are really important. Learning strategies are conscious, so students should be conscious when using them. They are really flexible. We can use one strategy, or we can use the combination of strategies, and I will show you some examples some examples of situations in which we should use different strategies so as to understand. Of course, they are influenced by a variety of factors. We cannot talk about learning strategies to very small kids, but we can present some exercises which we know which teach them a learning strategy. So, but of course, when we talk about grown-up people or teenagers whom we teach, we can talk about learning strategies so as to make them more conscious about the teaching learning process which is organized in the classroom. Okay, of course, learning strategies involve cognition, so the cognitive knowledge. They also need feelings, or they also involve feelings, and of course, learning strategies are taken individually by individual students. Okay, and we have got a lot of different divisions of strategies, and I will show you that one, which we will talk today about direct strategies and indirect strategies. That's why I told you that we can somehow incorporate them into the learning or teaching process. And we have got cognitive, memory, and metacognitive strategies, which are direct strategies, and compensation, affective, and social strategies. Sometimes we talk about socioaffective strategies or communication strategies, which I will talk about in a moment. Okay. So cognitive strategies are connected with the brain. Yeah, so we have got practicing here. So they are more about solving one particular language problem. Let's say there is a problem, there is a grammar problem. Okay, so we can use a cognitive strategy, which is called analyzing and reasoning. Yeah, so that's why it is justified when we talk about grammar in, let's say, in Polish or in mother tongue. Yeah, because students need to analyze, and when they analyze, they can understand the grammar point easier or much better, and then they will remember. And when we talk about adults, they really want to know why we use this particular grammar structure here. They want the theory behind grammar. Okay, so that's why we sometimes teach the grammar we talk about grammar in mother tongue, and then we practice in English. It's nothing bad about it, okay? But of course, when we talk about small kids, they don't need to analyze. They don't even think that analyzing is a strategy. They just repeat after the teacher. So then that's why we don't analyze the language with small kids. Here you have got a lot of different cognitive strategies, and we have got, as you can see here, we have got the examples, okay? We translate, as I said, that we use grammar translation method. Translation is a technique, which means the cognitive strategy, okay? So we translate. We transfer the language as well. We ask students to take notes. When we read a text, there are a lot of words students don't know. So we ask them to underline, so highlight the words, and we can ask them to translate the word into their mother tongue, or we can ask them to take a note. For example, they can make another sentence with that word. If it is an adjective, we can ask them to make it a negative adjective, or we can ask them to make it an adverb. So there are a lot of things we do those things, okay? You know the exercise paraphrasing. Why? It is also the cognitive strategy which we use, okay? So we analyze, okay? Of course, we also teach grammar inductively or deductively, okay? So we can show the structures, we can say something about the theory, and then there is the practice. Or another way, we can start with the text, we can start with exercises, and that students will find out the grammar structure which is in the text, and at the end of the lesson they can find out what grammar structure we are talking about, and they can find out about the theory. So it is also good. This is also the cognitive strategies. So we activate the brain to think about the language, and of course to understand is better, okay? But of course, among cognitive strategies, there is also repetition. And we do drilling. We ask students to repeat things, okay? We ask the same questions over and over again. Why not? Okay, it's good. Among the cognitive strategies, there is a technique which means using resources, okay? So we ask students to find out about, for example, some hero which is in the text. We can make students to find some information in the connection with the grammar structure which we can introduce. So there are a lot of things, and we do those exercises, okay? And when you do some of the exercises which are presented here, it means that you teach students cognitive strategies. So why not, when you teach teenagers or grown-up people, why not to sacrifice some time to talking about the cognitive strategies, to talking about how to solve a particular language problem. Yeah, as I said, it can be lexical problem, or it can be moment. I have problems with showing. And oh yeah, it's good. Memory, okay. Memory strategies, okay. Students have to learn words by heart. They have to learn structures by heart. There are a lot of things which students have to learn by heart, okay. And when they do it, they use memory strategies. So why not to show them the strategies which they can look, okay. When we say a word, it is good to show a picture of a word. It is good to show a picture of a word, and the word, so flashcard and the word card, you know what I'm talking about, okay? So how the word is written, and to show the picture. When we teach very small kids, I do recommend showing how the word is written. Yeah, I know that there are some methodologists teachers who say, no, 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 only pictures, only photos. No, no, no. I say no, okay? That because we create mental links between the language, which is in the left hemisphere, with the pictures, which are in the right one. And that's how we activate the brain, and that's how we teach memory strategies, okay? So with older students, we don't have to show pictures. We can just say a cat, and when we say a cat in their mother tongue, they can imagine how the cat looks like. Okay, so there are a lot of things. Memory strategies when we learn something. For example, when you learn words, it is good to use songs, because when we incorporate sounds into the teaching learning process, then they will remember better. And we like songs, so students will learn vocabulary from songs, and then it will be easier for them to learn. Okay, then of course about among memory strategies, especially for small kids, there are some moving activities. Okay, so they physical, there is a mistake here. For example, Head and Shoulders, the song Head and Shoulders. Okay, it is not only that we sing the song, we listen to the song, but we also show, and that's how we remember better. So with teenagers, it is good to implement drama into the learning process. They like performing. So why not to make them perform, and then they will learn the language we want them to learn. Metacognitive strategies are connected more about learning, not only about learning or solving one particular problems. Metacognitive strategies are connected with organizing the learning, and we said that good language learners can organize their learning process. Okay, so metacognitive strategies are used to arrange, to plan the learning process, and are also used to evaluate the learning process. And look what, at the end of each unit, there is, maybe not in every book, but in most books, there is a self-check. Students read or do the exercises, and then they have to evaluate themselves. Yeah, it is how we teach them metacognitive strategy. One of the metacognitive strategies, which is evaluating their learning process. Okay, when we and every unit in a book, at the beginning there is what the unit is about or module is about. Then we have got listening, reading, whatever the skills develop. We have got a writing thing and all the things. So units or books generally are arranged somehow, and they are arranged in that way from easier to more difficult vocabulary, from easier to more sophisticated grammar structures, okay, from shorter to longer texts. Okay, first we have got 5 words to learn, then we have got 10 words to learn, etc., etc. Okay, so books show students how they should arrange their learning process. And about planning, when we ask students to prepare for a test, we can ask them, the test is next Monday or next Wednesday, so tomorrow you should revise vocabulary. On Friday, you should revise some grammar structures. On Saturday, you should do something with the listening. On Sunday, let's say something with reading. So before a test, we tell our students what they should repeat or revise so as to be successful at test. It is how we teach them the planning metacognitive strategy. We really do it, but we don't think that we teach them. So it is good when teachers are really cautious that learning strategies are really important. Okay? Among the metacognitive strategies is also setting goals. So we can ask students today, we can tell students today you are going to learn this or that. Today you are going to know, after the lesson you will know this or that. And the moment may come when we can ask students, okay, what do you want to do today? Of course, during our lesson, what text do you want to read? What do you want to talk about? What listening piece or pieces do you want to listen to, and why? So the moment will come that they will set the goals of their learning process. Okay, and later on, it's how we teach them organizing, setting goals for everything. Okay, and of course, among the metacognitive strategies, there is a paying attention strategy. We always want students to pay attention to what we are talking, and also to pay attention to what their peer friends are talking about. Yeah, so they also pay attention, and it is one of the metacognitive strategies. We also use it. Okay, compensation strategies. When there is a problem, they don't know the word, they use the strategy, or some of the strategies they make. There is a guessing, and we do organize guessing games. We ask students to read the text, and we ask them to understand the general idea of the text, what the text is about, without knowing all the words. Or when we look at the words students don't know, we can make them make a guess what the word may mean. So they may look if it is a noun or a verb, or if it is at the end of the sentence, or if it is before the noun, after the noun. Okay, so they can make some intelligent guesses, and this is the compensation strategy which they use. And we ask students before the text is, we can ask, look at the title, and we ask, what is the text about? This is the guessing strategy. We can ask students to look at pictures connected with the text without looking at the text, and we can ask, what is the text about? What do you think the text is about? We can even ask students to look at the questions and answers, and without reading or without listening, or before listening and reading the text, they can make guesses. And then they listen to check if the answers were connected or not. Okay, if the answers were right or not. Okay, among compensation strategies, there are coining words. Okay, students replace they replace words they don't know with words they can imagine. Okay, so a coin word, you know, is a word that has never been used before. They do it. They use synonyms. They use antonyms. They use a lot of things. So we teach them the compensation, and later on I will talk about the strategies as well. And among the compensation strategies, there are patterns, chunks, which we should make students learn. Okay, so there are chunks of language they should learn by heart, and they will be useful, like the phrase "I love you." It will be used all the time and till the end of their life. Okay, how much does it cost? We know this structure by heart, and as a teacher, we should find maybe not 1,000, okay, but a few, so as students can learn them by heart. And then the moment comes, I don't speak English. We know this phrase in many different languages, okay? The phrase "my name is," we can also say in many different languages, okay? So where is the toilet? It's a very important question, and we know it in many languages, okay? So these are chunks which we can use, and this is one of the compensatory strategy which we can use. Affective strategies are connected with feelings, with emotions. So the right hemisphere is somehow used here. So when we should make students to like the language. We should make students to like learning the language. Of course, when they like us, they learn the language easier. We use music because we like music. Almost everybody likes music. So when we use music, then we make the learning process more enjoyable. Okay, we reward students, and when we reward students, we should make students know how to reward themselves. We can ask them, okay, you are successful at a test, I will give you 5 because you are a teacher. But you can say, okay, you are good, you have passed the test, and now you can go to buy some ice cream because you like the ice cream. Okay, so students should know that they should learn that when they have completed a task successfully, they can reward themselves with something. Yeah. And among effective strategies, there is also a language learning diary, and we do it. We ask students to write, but we should make it be more effective. We should make it be more connected with feelings, and in that way, we can do it when we ask students, for example, to write how they feel after the lesson. Okay, how they feel before the lesson. Okay, and not every day, but before every English lesson, after every English lesson, they can write the feelings. Okay, they can write the words they don't know, and they can write the words or the phrases or the exercise they were successful at. Okay, so we should put some. When we put some feelings into the learning diary, then we will use the affective strategy, which is means lowering the anxiety. When students are not afraid of language, then they will be better language learners, and they will try to answer your questions. Okay, they will try to be active, they will try to use music, they will try to use the background knowledge of themselves. Okay, so and it is good when we discuss feelings and the connection with the language with other students. Okay, so we can ask them to sit in pairs, and they can talk how they feel about each exercise we present during our lesson, how they feel about the test, about the success they have achieved. Okay, so emotions are really, really important, and we use them, and it means that we use affective strategies and social strategies. We put students into pairs. We ask students to work in groups. We work with the whole class. And of course, we ask students to work individually, but students cannot work only individually. They should cooperate, because they can ask questions to those who are better at that particular exercise. Okay, they can understand the feelings, they can understand each other. When somebody is a worse student than I am, then I can help the student. So I develop really good feelings towards the person who is not that good at a language as I am. And on the other hand, when somebody is really, really good, should also think that there are some people who are much better than I am. Okay, so we should be aware of feelings and thoughts of other people. These are social strategies which we really use. Okay, and as I said at the beginning, there are some factors that influence the choice of learning strategies, second language learning strategies. Maybe not. I would say that age is the first one, because as I said, we cannot talk about learning strategies to very small kids. Okay, but the more advanced learners, the older the learners, the more strategies we can talk about. One of the factors which influence the learning strategies which students use are learning styles, and we're talking about learning styles. I will not talk about it really much, but if you come back to the previous webinar of mine, you will find out how they are connected. Okay, so when somebody is a risk taker, will have problems with planning, with arranging, with evaluating. The person will just will be good at guessing, at predicting, gesturing. Okay, so learning styles can affect the learning strategies students use. Of course, it also depends on if you are a boy or a girl, if you are a man or a woman. It is also like that it differs. Okay, and of course the task. As I said, that when there is a grammar problem we are to solve, when there is a vocabulary problem, when there is a pronunciation problem, when there is a communication problem which we are to solve, then we will use a different strategy to use. And the more motivated we are, the more strategies we can use, and we are willing to use the strategies because we are motivated to become good language learners, and we know that we don't know everything and we still want to know more. There is a lesson plan which you can use when introducing a strategy training into the classroom. Okay, so you present the material, I mean, you demonstrate, they are given handouts, you can refer to other materials, you can ask students, you can ask questions, students can ask you questions, etc., etc. And then we don't have much time, so I will not talk about that. But this is a ready-made lesson plan which you can sacrifice to strategy training. You choose a strategy and then you follow the plan, and then at the end of the lesson, students know the strategy. Okay, very important strategies are communication strategies. Okay, because we must make our students talk. We must make them be understood. So they have to convey the meaning they want to. We want them to make their listeners understand what they are talking about. Okay, and there are some communication strategies, and there is one division here. There are two parts: achievement strategies and cooperative or cooperation strategies. Okay, among achievement strategies, there is a guessing strategy. When we are talking to someone, when somebody is talking to us, we don't have to understand everything, and we try to make a guess what the person is trying to tell us. Okay, and paraphrasing strategies. Okay, if we don't know, if a listener doesn't know the word which we are trying to use, we just paraphrase, we define the word, we use antonym, synonym, etc., etc. Okay, so we are trying to say the same in different words, and this is also the exercise which we do, paraphrasing. Yeah, we say the same, but with using different words. There are exercises connected with synonyms, antonyms, okay, with definitions. We define the words. We ask students to define, and of course, there are a lot of guessing strategies which I have talked before, but they are to make students be communicative. And of course, cooperative strategies, we can ask for help. Okay, we can ask a partner to say something, we can say it in Polish and the person can translate it. Okay, so there are a lot of strategies to make students be communicative. And of course, there are unfortunately avoidance strategies. I will present some of them, and avoidance means, and it is not good, this is also a strategy, that when students don't know a word, they try not to speak. When they have nothing to say about a topic, then they avoid a discussion. And you can easily notice in your class, when you put students into groups and you ask them to discuss a topic, there are some students who are risk takers, who are willing to say whatever. Some of them have got the background knowledge and they can use it, but there are some students who have nothing to say, so they use the avoidance strategy and they say nothing. Okay, or they use the cooperative strategy. They say, okay, I will put down the ideas. Okay, so this is also the avoidance strategy. Okay, so to avoid this, it is good to give students some ideas to talk about. Okay, some sentences to be discussed, or you can ask students to read something at home in the connection with the topic we are going to discuss today. Okay, when people don't know what to say, they use guessing. Okay, foreignizing, that's a really nice thing. Sometimes when students don't know a word, they say the word in their mother tongue, but with the English pronunciation. Okay, so they can say skarpetka, which sounds English, but of course it is a Polish words. Okay, or they use the strategy which is the borrowing. They use Polish word, and sometimes you can hear really small kids, they say, I will say in Polish and in English, tutaj jest coś blue. Okay, so they know the word blue, but they don't know the other words. They cannot make the sentence, so they use the Polish grammar to say something, okay, but they use the words they know, okay. It, of course, for children, for language learners, it is interlanguage, okay, so there is a moment when they use Polish and English and it's okay, but of course, if they borrow Polish words without any changes too many times, then that's the strategy which they overuse. Of course, there is literal translation, and when there is a Polish sentence and we translate it literally into English, then we have got some really funny phrases or really funny sentences. Here, there are a lot of people from other countries, so thank you from the mountains. Okay, it's something what we what this literal translation from Polish into English. And of course, about coining, we said something that they just invent a new word which does not exist, but on the basis of the knowledge. For example, when we start teaching our students the past simple tense, first we talk about regular verbs and then we talk about irregular. And when students don't know the irregular verbs, sometimes they, instead of saying gone, okay, instead of saying went, they say, yesterday I got. Okay, so the word go for them is a regular verb, so they make a regular version of the verb. Okay, so that's coining. Okay, so that's the word that does not exist. Of course, they also use paraphrasing, as we said, and circumlocution. It is really nice because it means describing a thing. So, for example, light brown is a mixture of beige and brown. And cooperation, so it means asking for help, asking others to say something. Okay, and something more about avoidance, because we should avoid too many avoidance techniques or strategies students use. Okay, so they when they don't know the word, they try to avoid the replacing the item, and they just say something with a completely different way. Okay, so this is the lexical avoidance, and as I said, topic avoidance and phonological avoidance. If we don't know how to say a word correctly, they try to use another word. Okay. Oh, and coming to the end, so still we will have 5 minutes to talk, and I will read some things you mentioned onto the chat. Okay, strategies should be taught. Strategies or students should be encouraged to use the strategies, but we should be careful. That's why I said at the end about avoidance, that we should avoid avoidance techniques when they are overused. The same about borrowing. Okay, when students use over and over the words from Polish and they put the Polish words into the English sentences, then it is not that good, okay, because we make them feel that they can use a strategy and then they will be understood. Of course, it's good on one hand, but it is not good when it is overused. So okay, that's it. That's from me. I will just stop. Okay. Okay, so now, if you don't mind, I think you have, I'm trying to find out if there are any questions. I can just see that people agree with me completely. Maybe there are some questions, maybe there are some comments.
Gina had some comments. Maybe you could present your comments right now, yes, so that we don't have to go back and read.
Okay, I totally agree with you. TPR is a good approach to language learning, especially for kids, as we said. It's quite interesting to help young learners think outside their brain by paying heat to the body, the movement, and other external spaces. Yes, I agree with that completely. Kids haven't still developed abstract thinking, okay, and meta-linguistic information. Of course, so much the better if we create a social constructive environment in which young learners use the language in an organic way. I think the translation method will depend on the gap between L1 and L2 and lead to some idiosyncrasies in language learning and language use. Okay, we should contextualize the language, and it helps learn the language better than translation. Of course, I don't say that translation is the best method, but it is one of the methods. Okay, I totally agree with you, but sometimes people say that we shouldn't translate into our mother tongue. Sometimes it's good because we should know what we are talking about. Even kids, they repeat after us, but they should know what they are saying about. Okay.
One comment, if I may.
Yeah.
I am I think one of the victims of avoiding translation method. During my studies, we were not allowed to translate into Polish. And then I began teaching Polish students at my university, and I was in huge trouble because they just needed the Polish equivalents. Yes. So it was very difficult for me, and I realized that was not right. So you are absolutely right. I mean, that's a different level, yes, but still,
of course,
you have to have all kinds of connotations, yes. So you have word, you have picture, you have word, you have Polish context and English context, yes. So the variety of connotations, we were excluded from translation, and it was wrong.
It was wrong. It was wrong. Now it's okay. Of course, we cannot overuse it. Yeah, every technique is good to some extent. There is one question: how can teachers help cater for learners' needs and given? Okay, how can teachers help make differentiation, distraction more successful? Okay, that's what I said about when I was talking about learning styles. Okay, when there is an instruction, we should read it so students can listen. We should make students see the instructions so they can read at the same time when they listen. We should ask students what the instruction is about so they can use their own words. We can make students translate it into Polish as well. Because students should know what the instruction is about, they will not complete the task if they don't know the instruction. And of course, the instruction first should be shorter, and then we should make it longer and longer. Then they will be more successful. Okay. Maybe I will ask you the question. I hope you liked the presentation. And I hope you would like to know something more about the strategies. If you don't mind telling us if you want more about strategies or not. Oh, it was okay. Now you know everything. Because we are preparing some webinars in future, and we want to make the webinars really useful for you. So there are no needs from you. If there is a topic you would like me to present next time, please prepare more. Okay, there is a question, there is a sentence, please prepare more, but what? Okay, more strategies. Okay, some different senses need to be activated, like in a presentation. When you see pictures, not just the text, you listen. Okay, so more. There's one person who says that more about the strategies. Lucyna, maybe we can try. Okay, why not? And then how I see it, I will talk about, for example, metacognitive strategies, and then I will talk a little more about the techniques which we can use when teaching kids, when teaching teenagers, and when teaching adults. And then I will, of course, show you some exercises as well. So then there will be one strategy, but really well explored. Okay.
Very well.
Do you think, oh, that would be great. So we will see. Maybe people would like to do it. I think that we should revise the theory. For me, it is 30 years after graduating. So I know that maybe I remember more because now I teach, I train, but I know teachers who don't remember that much about the theory they had during their studies. Okay, I think, Lucyna, three people said, okay, more, so maybe we can try.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Ula, your next webinar is to take place on the 12th of October. And originally you wanted to talk about developing skills while teaching English to young learners. So
I love that topic. Okay, but it's okay. But okay, okay. So we can do that way, that I can talk about teaching skills, and then I can incorporate different strategies that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very well. Very
okay.
well. So you
then
will redefine the subject in such a way that it involves the original one.
Okay.
You will just let me know about it.
So one age group and different strategies while developing skills. Oh my God. Okay. I think we will manage. Okay. So
with you?
Yeah, I don't know. It is the 12th. Yes, the 12th of
12th of October. Yes.
12th. I will be in Italy then, but it's okay. I can present.
Yeah, anywhere. You are the citizen of the world. Natalia likes the idea. Thank you, Natalia, for your thumbs up.
Yeah, I will
Agata loves it too.
As well. I will train Italian teachers.
Great. And then you will share your expertise in this area. Yes,
maybe. Okay,
we can learn something from them.
Okay. Okay, so maybe we will do it that way. So mostly about young learners, but skills and strategies. Okay, so if you like that way, that we can do it. Okay, and in November can be metacognitive strategy, so another way. And of course, before Christmas, I would love to have the more practical webinar. Okay, of course, not the same exercises, not the same material which I showed last year, but still I think interesting. Okay, for different age groups.
Yeah, of course, of course. We all love it because there is this element of fun, yes? Not just for the learners, but for the teachers who are eternal learners after all, yes? To be a good teacher, you have to be able to learn well. I keep discovering it myself, Ula.
Thank you. You're warmly welcome to my webinars. Or more than welcome.
Okay. Thanks. So thank you all. Thank you, Ula. And let's meet with as many of you as will be able to join us at IATEFL conference. Ula will be there, I will be there, and hopefully many of you will be there. So thank you very much and good night, everybody.
Bye-bye. See you later. See you next time. Thank you. Bye.